You want the chaos, not the control. Rawness, sharp-edged, potent writing. I see a lot of thumbnails of people smiling and writing their morning pages in coffee shops and, under a tree. I don't think they're probably the best places unless the tree is in your garden. Now, I've relaxed a little bit in recent times. When I first started morning pages, I would do them as the concept was explained to me by Sebastian. Hi, Sebastian. He's not watching. And that was immediately after waking up, and was quite strict with myself in that this would have to be as soon as possible after I woke up. But that's not always practical, especially if there's a partner, asleep next to you, or there's just nowhere else in the house to go, or whatever. When you write them at that stage, at that moment, really soon after waking up, you've still got sleep inertia. And this sleep inertia is that sort of sleepy feeling that clings to us for a while after we wake up, and it's why we're not at our optimum for quite a while. Coffee can accelerate the pace at which the sleep inertia recedes, but coffee isn't necessarily what you want when you're doing morning pages. What I do now, I'll get up and I'll come downstairs and I'll make a cup of coffee. And bear this in mind, coffee doesn't kick in for 20 minutes. So this is why I know I can sip my coffee while writing my morning pages and it's not going to affect them. The difference, if you had a coffee and then waited 20 minutes or whatever, would be your mental state. You want the chaos, not the control. You want the chaos to come out of your mind onto the page. So what I do now, I make the coffee and it will keep hot in this cup my daughter bought me for Father's Day. Keep it hot. I can sip at it while I'm writing, which does involve a momentary pause, I'll grant you. But I think the pause is short enough for me that it doesn't really affect my stream of consciousness. The problem with going to a coffee shop and writing your morning pages, for example, is you're going to have a lot of inputs. You might have spoken to someone, you've almost certainly looked at your phone, because we all do. You could have had a conversation, you've ordered your coffee and your cake and you've thought about it. You've seen stuff happening, people around, cars. There's too many inputs and they're influencing your mind to whatever level. Morning pages is about relinquishing control, unlearning the rules, just allowing stuff to come out onto the page. Now, yes, you can go to a coffee shop and write freely. You can put whatever you want on that page, and it could be a nice, relaxed environment in which to do that. I don't believe that would be the same as morning pages. You could go to a coffee shop and do nice reflective writing, nice journal entries, which are very different to morning pages. I don't believe it's the right environment because it will be too noisy. Those coffee machines, don't they make a racket? There'll be cutlery going, probably, people talking. Your mind is going to be polluted, is the phrase I will use. Sounds strong, but I genuinely believe you are not going to get the same rawness, the sharpness of edge in your morning pages in that kind of environment with that level of delay. It's got to be an hour, surely, half an hour at least, between waking and being in a coffee shop and writing. The longer you leave it, the less potent. That's a good word, isn't it? The less potent your morning pages will be. What we want is rawness, sharp-edged, potent writing in morning pages. Doesn't mean it has to be bad. They are words with negative connotations, but potent, raw-edged, sharp words like that, uncontrolled chaos, could also, people use the word passion these days, don't they? Like, it's such an abused word. Oh, I'm passionate about this and that. But you could write with passion and use all those words. Sharp-edged, raw chaos. Just give yourself permission to do that, kids, because That's what this is all about. That's what that blank page is all about. I really believe that. I don't believe to the same level that you can do that with a hour gap, a walk or drive to a coffee shop and listen. You just can't. I just don't think you can do it. So when are you going to do it? If possible, if at all possible, do it. Wake up, sit up, do it in bed there and then. If that's not possible, get up. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at the news. Don't check the weather. Don't see if you've got any messages. Don't look at any emails, especially not work emails. If it's at all possible, do it there and then in bed. If it's not possible, before now, I've sat on the stairs, sat on the top step of the stairs and done it in a hardback lug turn because they'll support your writing. Bit extreme. So what I do now is I go downstairs, make my cup of coffee in the hot insulated mug, and then do it. I have done them after about an hour, and I think I did them. I think I've done them one time when I've got to work early, and I've done them. I can't remember the circumstances, but I know I did them at least an hour after waking. They're not the same, but I will say writing something is better than writing nothing. Processing this stuff, getting it out of your mind onto the page is in whatever form, at whatever time, in whatever way, whether it's stream of consciousness, consciously aware writing, journaling, anything is better than nothing. Just a reminder at this point to check out the channel memberships. I don't like putting too many ads in the videos, and one way to support the channel is to take out a membership. You can get members only ad-free videos. And let's also talk about time of day, because in other videos I've talked about, so there are morning pages. There's also the evening check-in. I nearly forgot. Evening pages. It's not evening pages, it's the evening check-in. There's a video on that. Not chicken, check-in. Morning pages, me, 3 sides of A5. I have done 3 sides of B5. This is a B5 book, if you're not familiar. It's not quite A4. I don't know how it squares with letter size. So here's a selection of my notebooks just for comparison. First, we've got the Leuchtturm 1917 A6 Pocket, a Moleskine A5 Slim, a Leuchtturm 1917 A5, a Moderna B5 composition size, an A4 notebook, and the granddaddy of them all, the Leuchtturm 1917 A4 Master Classic. I did these for a long time. This is a Moleskine one. I really like these Moleskine Carriers. I did go back to doing A5. The reason I didn't go to a Moleskine Carrier A5, even though I like them, is because they're like a narrow A5. And the books I'm using now, these Sylvine ones, are actually quite wide. So they're not actually much smaller than a B5. I'm quite like that. I'm drifting off the subject here. I've also gone back to using lined paper. I did go to plain for a while because I like the freedom. I'm now using a plain notebook for jottings during my workday, a line notebook for morning pages, and a grid notebook for my weekly I like to have my week laid out in front of me at a glance, analog, not digital. So I would urge you to explore different types of writing at different times of day. So you could, for example, do morning pages as soon as possible after waking. That is the best time. They're called morning pages for a reason. Doesn't have to be in the morning. If you wake up if you're not on a night shift and you sleep all day and wake up at 6 o'clock in the evening, you do your morning pages then. It's as soon after waking as possible is the key thing. Also try your evening journaling. I've done that. It's waned a little bit. I seem to be very tired when I'm going to bed these days. Maybe me age. I'd try and do 3 points of gratitude and a today's takeaway. And as I've said before, we'll check out the other videos. Today's takeaway can be a really interesting thing because I will consider for a moment before I write that down. Reflective journaling, like proper journaling in a nice notebook, like a Loic Term or a Rhodia or one of those expensive books with if you want a nice fountain pen, if you're into that kind of thing. To me, that would be perhaps early evening or a Sunday afternoon. I think the key thing for all these things, for me personally, is peace and quiet. No interruptions, tranquility. I don't think I can do it if there's anybody else in the room or people talking. That's why I have to be because it is like this slightly meditative state for the morning pages. And don't forget to check out the merch. T-shirts, mugs, stickers available on there. And the other thing is some immersive videos to help you get into that meditative state. I can't do it. If I get interrupted, I can't do it. I just have to stop because I lose the flow. And I like to do my reflective writing, evening gratitude or whatever, just before I go to sleep. And my wife and I, we don't go to bed at the same time, so that's easy. So she likes to watch a bit of telly after I've gone to bed. At the moment, she's watching Upstairs, Downstairs. Now, if you're in Britain and of a certain age, you might remember Upstairs, Downstairs. Now, I was a kid when this was on. It's the servants. It's a bit like Downton Abbey. Do you know what it is? But in a more 1970s, very calm, a bit stilted, the acting, some of it. I'm asleep by the time she comes to bed. But when I do make myself do that little bit of writing, I recognise the benefits.